What's good, guys? Back with another video, and it's the first one in a while. I'm actually dealing with kidney stones at the minute, which is the reason for the dip in content around here, because sitting around doing a lot of the editing is quite uncomfortable, as you can imagine. However, I did in my community channel put up a little thing for a Q&A where people could send in any Galaxy Heroes related questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. So let's get on with those. Let's do this. So the first question we got from Matthias Fett, one of my long-time viewers, particularly in streams, all the way out there in like 2017, I think, on Twitch. He's asked, when do I think a new batch of Galactic Legends are coming? Obviously, everyone's been speculating for ages. I think we'll get the kits at least this March, because we had Kylo and Rey's in March last year, and then the following two were in October, so I reckon we'll get the kits this March. Probably release pushed somewhere near the very end of March or early April. That's my guess. Next question from Stephen Ragsdale. He asked, what future Galactic Legends would I like to see, and how many do I think we'll eventually have? That's a good one. I would like to see some prequel era stuff. Now, everything's been sequel era. I would like to see Fallen Anakin, Mustafar Vader, Temple Vader, whatever you want to call him, with the obvious Master Kenobi. I would also like to see a Master Windu. I'm not really sure who on the dark side we could then pair him with, but I wouldn't mind Darth Tyrannus, you know, Count Dooku, because Dooku's kit's a bit dated. He's a fun character, but he's never really been top end. I'd like to see a really high end Dooku now. So yeah, Darth Tyrannus could be that. I mean, they could always do a Mandalorian Maul, but where he took over that. I mean, that's a possibility for another one, but I could see him being paired with a new Ahsoka at some stage. And I don't think Django really warrants another character. So yeah, perhaps Tyrannus would be the one that they would possibly pair with Windu in the end. But yeah, that's who I'd like to see. As for how many do I think we eventually have, I think the big problem there is gating the requirements for CG. Unless they start requiring a previous Galactic Legend in order to get the next one, i.e. like, Rey, to get Rey Skywalker, because they specifically said that she was the start of the movie, not the end of the movie, hence why we get Kylo and not Ben Solo, for example. So unless they start doing that, or start gating with Relic 8s and 9s and 10s, eventually there's not really enough tunes left to Relic unless they do whole batches of marquees. So I think that's the biggest issue that I have with this. They might have to come up with something else new. Otherwise, yeah, they're going to start gating it with other Galactic Legends and higher Relic levels. And that's the only real issue I see preventing them just endlessly doing Galactic Legends. Question number 3 from Mr. D. He says, it's my guildmate I Like Cake. Shout out to the AOK members there. What do I think the hardest aspect of the game is for free-to-play players to keep pace with the big spenders? I think the main thing with being a free-to-play player, being one myself, is having to stay consistent in the top arena. You know, if you're getting a bit burned out with the game and you really don't want to be doing that grind every single day, you fall behind drastically, because that is the only resource element we have is that crystal influx that we get from both arenas. So that's probably the hardest aspect, keeping that motivation and that momentum in arenas to not fall behind, because it's hard to predict the next meta, and often it's impossible to do so because it's usually involving new things that aren't even there. So hoarding some crystals, hoarding some gear, that's pretty much the main thing really for a free-to-play player to keep up. Yeah, because the credit gate isn't as bad as it used to be, and the Cairo one, sorry, not the Cairo, the stun gun one is no different than it was. So yeah, I really think it's the motivation aspect, because a lot of the time to keep up, you're not farming or developing what you're passionate about. It's usually what you have to do, what the meta is. And that's just a big grind in itself. Next question from Lizella asking, knowing that they're going to add characters to the Conquest system, do I think there's a reason to still hoard and keep a certain amount of Get One? Get One, no. I think they're really done with that this time. They said they were done with it before. A lot of people spent it, and then they went and put General Skywalker in there, which, infuriated a lot of people, and myself included. I think we'll definitely get some more stuff for Get 2, so I would still kind of hoard that if possible. I'm sat at about 26k right now. I usually have about 30k. I spend a little bit, but generally I try to keep a decent batch in case a new tune appears in there. But I really think they're done with Get 1 now. Too many people are hoarding it. They're not going to be able to catch you and gate anything in that area of the game anymore. And for new players, it's so difficult to save that up when you have Malik, and General Skywalker, I think they know they would create too much of a problem for a new player having a third major character with it. So yeah, I think only Get 2 really needs to be hoarded at this stage. Next question in from Utini. He asks, what mod sets that I'm currently farming? Speed and defense, mainly because my defense ones could use a little bit of a boost. There's a few characters that are using them, and mine aren't the greatest in the world because I've never like mass farmed them. And speed, because obviously new characters are coming out into the game, I'm running low on decent ones. I've never really had the best mods ever anyway, so yeah, I'm just trying to improve my my current stockpile of those two really. Next question in from You Question the Words of the Mighty Jimmy. He asks, will they make other grinds easier like they did with the Shards update and where that's double dropping and stuff now? And what are my thoughts on Conquest mode? Conquest for me, it just looks like Marvel Strike Force raids only for one person instead of 24. So I'm hopeful that it'll do well. At least it's a unique, like, new content and it's not just an upgrade. Like Galactic Challenges was just assault battles on steroids, and Challenge Rancor was just the other Rancor tuned up to oblivion with a horrible mechanic where everyone's having to airplane. This, I'm hoping, will be a home run because I think the game really needs one, the devs need one, and we need one. As for updating any other grinds, maybe fleet will, ships will start dropping doubles as well. But otherwise, no. I think if they eased up the stun gun grind, for example, they'd only have to make a different part of the gear currency harder to keep a balance. So no, I don't think there'll be any real changes in regards to gear and stuff. Next question from Tony Jaja Binks asks, if you could bring any faction into the game, who would it be and why? I actually spoke about this today on stream. It would actually be the Gungans. And hear me out here. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I hate Jar Jar. Well, I don't really care. I like him, and I would like the faction to come to the game. We've had so much focus on the prequel era. We've got the Geonosians, we've got all the separatist droids and stuff, but we don't have like one of the most iconic battles of the early of the prequels where the Gungans went head to head with the droids. It's like, come on, man. Why can I do Geonosian TB and yet I can't be throwing some huge boomers down on the droids? Come on, you gotta give me that. There's plenty of unique Gungans out there, and Jar Jar's the obvious big one. So, I mean, I would love that faction in the game. I'm sure there are some other madmen out there like me that would like to see the Gungans added to the game, but at this stage, we got Tuskens, although we don't have really a full team. We still got some Tuskens, and we got other, like, obscure, like, groups and stuff. We got a freaking Ugnaught in the game where we don't have a Gungan. Come on. Secondary, I would say Wookiees, because we got two unique ones. We got, like, multiple Chewbacca's, and then we got Zalbar. Off the top of my head, I don't think we got any others. So yeah, I would like to see some Wookiees added. But yeah, Gungans would be my first choice. Next question in from Master Noob. How long do you think the game will survive for? His guess or her guess is 5 years or so. I think... I mean, what would cause the game to drop is, one, it no longer makes money. Two, the technical aspects of the game fall too far behind in like the coding. It gets so bloated. And just becomes too difficult to make progress with. But I mean, there's endless things they can still tap into with this game, and I don't think a game like this really needs to be 4K and 120 frames. It's a strategy game. I mean, it's essentially a card game with moving images. It's very similar to the likes of Magic and the Pokemon trading card game in the way that a power curve moves and the way you pick strategies and fight. So I mean, it would last as long as they want it to last, and if they could ever figure out a way to port our progress into a rebuild, they would actually be able to, like a sequel more or less. They would actually be able to even get around the technical aspects. It would literally hang only on their ability to make money on the game. Quite where they've never released an Origin app or something where they can eliminate Apple and Google's 30% cut of any transactions. I don't know. That's blown my mind for years. It really has. Next question in from Interim Commander, at least I think that's how I pronounce the name, asks, if I can add any character or ship to the game, and I mean anything, what would I choose? Oh man, that's a tough one. There's a lot of stuff. I like my fleet, so I mean, my favorite character in all of it is the fallen version of Anakin, the pre-suit Vader. But I think that's going to happen anyway. So thinking outside the box, I go Darth Bane. because I don't know how likely it is that we'll ever see him, and I really like Darth Bane. So, yep, that would be my pick right there. Next question in from Sander Das. He asks, how do I balance farming mods with the farming of slicing materials? Okay, well, I more or less just farm slicing materials because I have such a ridiculously bloated bunch of mods that I need to slice. And now that we can also still get speed rolls in the 6+ area, it's so hard to rule out what is a good mod and a bad mod, when I would say 3 of 4 of my best mods at like 27+ speed were all grey to begin with. I find it so difficult to get rid of mods and just write something off as complete rubbish because of that kind of reason. So yeah, I pretty much just farm slicing materials, and then I buy mods with the in-game currencies, so because I don't really have anything to level up anymore. So that's the way I'm doing it personally. Okay, last question in this one, Tony Jar Jar Binks again by the look of it. Who are your 3 favourite Galaxy Heroes creators? Brackets, if I watch any of them. Oh god, that's a tough one, man. Narrowing it down to 3, I don't think I can really do. I don't get a lot of time to sit and watch a lot of streams and videos. When you're a full-time content creator, you're usually planning things, doing your own content, or trying to find some free time to spend with your actual family. But saying that, I do like to watch Gridden and SWGOH whenever I can over on Twitch. Both great streamers, entertaining guys, but at the same time, smart players as well. For me, I can't really watch someone that doesn't know what they're doing. Because then I'm trying to fight the urge to backseat all the time. So yeah, I like those guys because they're a good mix. They're very much like me. I think they manage to merge entertainment and like gain knowledge together quite well. Saying that, there's a few YouTube guys that I do occasionally watch as well. I've always enjoyed Zareth. I think he's a really intelligent player. Clash, before he retired, I was really sad to see him leave actually. It's Just Ian is another guy that's usually pretty good with the theory crafts and stuff. I used to like Muck Mole for the same reason before he left. But yeah, a couple of guys who I've watched recently, Bit Dynasty, and I think is it Dylar's Twi'lek Tactics or something. I think that's the name. But I've checked out some of his videos lately. Seems to be on the rise. Some pretty good content as well. But yeah, I'm sure I'm forgetting tons of people out there. There are a lot of good content creators in the Galaxy Heroes community. Perhaps I should do a showcase for them soon. I'll help everyone find these guys, because it's getting very bloated. There's a lot of people doing it, and there's so many talented creators out there outside of just like the big 3 or 4. Because I mean, you got Arnold, Cub, Ian, me. I think we're the biggest ones in regards to subs and general viewership. So, but there's so many talented streamers out there, especially on Twitch these days, which is totally overlooked by YouTube. But yeah, I would say Grid, Yeti, and then whoever is really making those like strategy guides that are effective. And I named several of them that I've watched recently. So that about wraps up this Q&A, guys. Thank you for sending in your questions. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll do another one of these soon. And feel free to chuck any other questions you have in the comments below, and I can always add them to a future video. Be sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, we out of here.